Fair Ship, where every story reveals the raw truth behind the headlines. Today, we journey deep into the heart of Oregon, a state celebrated for its towering snow-capped mountains, lush evergreen forests, and the breathtaking Pacific coastline. Portland, Oregon's largest city, is known as a hub of creativity and progress. But beneath this picture-perfect postcard lies a reality few dare to face. The sidewalks tell a different story, lined with tents, weathered blankets, and weary faces fighting for survival. This is more than a news story. This is a humanitarian crisis. Tonight on Fair Ship, we uncover the truth about Oregon's homelessness epidemic, a story of resilience, failure, and hope hidden in plain sight. The contrast is striking. Tourists arrive to see Oregon's beauty, while thousands of locals are left struggling on sidewalks, in public parks, and even in their cars. This is Oregon's dual identity, a state of natural splendor shadowed by deep social wounds. Here begins the story of a homelessness crisis that has changed this state forever. Homelessness in Oregon is not a small problem. It's a statewide crisis shaping communities across every city. A recent federal report ranks Oregon among the top states in the nation for homelessness. Around 18,000 people live without permanent housing, and more than half of them have no shelter at all, surviving entirely on the streets. Portland, often called the heart of progressive America, is now lined with tents in nearly every neighborhood. Parks, bridges, and highway shoulders have all become makeshift homes. Locals call it a city within a city, a network of temporary encampments where survival is the only goal. Public spaces that once symbolized freedom and community are now a lifeline for the state's most vulnerable. Among them are children, seniors, and veterans who once served their country, now trapped in a cycle of poverty. This crisis didn't appear overnight. It is the product of years of economic strain, housing shortages, and systemic failures. First, skyrocketing rent prices. Over the past decade, Portland's rental market has exploded. What was once affordable is now a luxury, forcing low-income families to spend most of their earnings just to keep a roof over their heads. When rent becomes impossible to pay, the streets are their only option. Second, a shortage of affordable housing. Oregon's population has grown rapidly, but housing development hasn't kept pace. Waiting lists for low-income housing are years long, while thousands remain unsheltered. Third, economic stress and unemployment. The COVID-19 pandemic shut down businesses, eliminated jobs, and drained savings, pushing many families into homelessness. Fourth, mental health and addiction. Oregon has one of the highest rates of substance abuse and mental health disorders in the nation. Yet the state's treatment facilities and resources are woefully inadequate. These challenges are made worse by life on Oregon's streets is a daily battle for survival. In Portland's neighborhoods, rows of tents line sidewalks like makeshift alleyways. Some are nothing more than tarps tied together, offering little protection from pouring rain or freezing winds. For the lucky, an old car serves as both home and last possession. Morning means packing belongings quickly to avoid being swept away by city crews. Days are spent searching for food from soup kitchens, donation centers, or even dumpsters. Night brings anxiety, fear of theft, violence, and the bitter cold. Winter in Oregon is deadly. Temperatures drop below freezing, and many have died from exposure. Yet in this despair, community emerges. Camp neighbors share meals, watch over belongings, and form makeshift rules to create safety where none exists. Behind every tent is a story. Veterans haunted by PTSD, single mothers raising kids in their cars, teenagers fleeing abuse only to find danger on the streets. Without IDs or access to healthcare, jobs, or government aid, many are trapped in an endless cycle. Oregon's government could no longer ignore the crisis. In 2023, Governor Tina Kotek declared a state of emergency over homelessness. This order allowed for faster funding, shelter expansion, and a rapid response strategy to save lives. One result was Portland's Safe Rest Villages, designated areas with tiny homes, showers, kitchens, and counseling. Billions of dollars were allocated for affordable housing construction. The goal? Thousands of low-cost units to prevent families from sliding into homelessness. Mental health services also became a priority, with new treatment centers and rehabilitation programs planned. But progress is slow and criticism is growing. Some argue these efforts are just a band-aid, not a solution. Others demand stricter enforcement against Beyond politics, nonprofit organizations and local communities are stepping up. Groups like Transition Projects provide shelter, meals, and job counseling to help people transition off the streets. Organizations like Join use a housing-first model, placing people in homes before tackling other struggles like addiction or unemployment. Churches and volunteers open their doors in winter, offering warmth, food, and dignity. Grassroots movements even build tiny homes to restore a sense of safety and privacy. These acts are more than charity. They're a reminder that those in tents and cars are not nameless strangers, but human beings with the same hopes and dreams as us. Despite these efforts, Oregon's homelessness crisis continues to grow. For every shelter built, dozens of people remain outside. Mental health treatment centers are still overwhelmed, trapping thousands in cycles of addiction and trauma. Meanwhile, frustrated residents demand action, while activists argue compassion is the only solution. Slow bureaucracy has stalled affordable housing projects for years, leaving many with no hope. This is Oregon's dilemma. How do you restore safety and order while also treating people with dignity and humanity? The answer is far from clear. But one thing is certain. The story of Oregon's homelessness crisis is not just about statistics or policy. It's about thousands of lives caught between survival and hope, waiting for a future that still feels out of reach. This is not just a story about tents and sidewalks. This is about people, dreamers, parents, veterans, and children, each carrying a piece of Oregon's untold struggle. The homelessness crisis isn't just numbers on a report. It's a mirror reflecting the cracks in a society that must choose between turning away or stepping up. At Fair Ship, we believe stories like these matter. Because behind every statistic, there's a face. Behind every tent, there's a voice waiting to be heard. If this story moved you, join us on this journey. Subscribe to Fair Ship for powerful stories that reveal the truth. Share this video to spark the conversations that can lead to change. Fair Ship. Real stories. Real voices. A truth worth sailing.